Okay, just a short while ago, I caught myself slipping into doom scrolling mode, and I think we all know how that feels. It's just a gentle, like, drifting into the zone you can't escape. And this is part of why being able to do little check-ins frequently is actually a really useful base skill set. Just to be able to be like, okay, how am I actually doing right now? How do I feel in my body? Where are my eyes at? What's my breath like? How's my posture? Am I like scrunched down and like kind of crazy eyed, like looking at, or am I upright, breathing right, not crushing my diaphragm, not twisting my spine, not rolling my shoulders, not craning my neck? All of these things are actually tough on our system and will give us a sense of distress because the body's in distress from us holding it like this, not letting it get enough oxygen, pinching all the lines and like kinking things in weird directions. And we're going to feel a certain kind of stress. And then we're going to have an urge to suppress that feeling. And now we're already kind of semi-hijacked by like the urge to doom scroll. And we're going to just sort of like fall into that dopamine seeking groove and try to tune it out. And it almost like doubles down on itself. And then we'll snap out of the, come out from under the dark spell and be like, oh, I feel like crap. I don't feel good. I'm like, and it's so easy to confuse feeling physically off with feeling emotionally wrong. The two move together. So if the body's out of whack, the emotions, the mind, they're likely to be a little bit out of whack and vice versa. So it's important at that point, if you have gotten like all the way down the rabbit hole and out the other side, to stop and say, okay, how much of this is my physiology? What's going on? Do I need to drink water? Do I need to stretch? Do I need to just look around and take it all in, really let it come to me and reconnect with my senses? And I was thinking about this earlier because when I started to go over that edge, I managed this time to pull myself back. No guarantees. We just do it as best we can, as much as we can, and build the habit till it becomes a reflex. And I happened to have a little success this time. I was like, oh, I see where you're going with this. Stop. I would say after having adopted this as a practice, I really can catch it 90% of the time. It's only so often I'm like, oh, I got sucked in. Mm, Still happens, no shame. I think pulling a 90 on that test is respectable. Um, I'm always looking to up the score a little bit. And today was another chance to practice and reinforce this. And when I caught myself going sort of out into those waters, I very abruptly said, you can go out there and drown later. How about we put your feet under you right now? And so I literally just kind of like dropped the phone, popped up, and walked right out the door. I was like, not here, not doing this now. And it occurred to me out there that I have places to go and I have things to do in my immediate environment. And I know that's not always easy for people if you live in a small apartment with no balcony in a very urbanized area. It's very hard, but one, you probably have a park somewhere within walking distance, so that's one option. It doesn't have to be nature. It could be something like a cafe or a bookstore, somewhere that's quiet but alive with good energy. Um, and if you really can't get out for whatever reason, health or agoraphobia, whatever, you cannot leave, you're on house arrest, right? There are ways of creating spaces within spaces, and you can designate those as part of your well-being circuit, right? So when I get up and I'm waiting for water to boil, that's my time to do some stretching. And I'll get in a few good stretches a day because every time I put on the kettle, that's my cue to check in with myself. So it's not even about having a space, it's about having um it's like the blocking of life, how actors block out their moves on a stage. They know what to do. Like over here, this is where I say this line. It's sort of like doing that in the mundane world, where it's like, okay, if I'm washing dishes, that's a good time for me to practice my breathing exercises. When I'm taking a shower, it's a good time to connect with the things I haven't been able to think about or process, and at least get them on a list and maybe start working through some of them so that I'm not carrying this compounding debt of attention for these issues that do need their due. It's about creating space within time sometimes. It's just finding that moment that you're at a red light, and instead of waiting for the light to change, saying, "Oh, I can check what how my shoulders are. Where are my shoulders?" Because we're driving and you get into like tense moves, and all of a sudden there's like a lot of holding in here, for me at least. Sometimes I'll get real tense and just be like trying to dodge the crazy people trying to drive me off the road. So I get to a red light. That's a chance to unload some of that charge and be like, whew, I'm not impatient with the light. I'm happy to have a minute to kind of just move my body and be like, yeah, okay, I'm back. I'm here because here's the big takeaway for me today. The little phrase that came up for me that I think is so helpful is basically that sanity isn't just a state, it's a practice. This is it. It's being connected to ourselves and in a conscious and aware state of our emotions and our other needs and drives in play. It's about being able to do a thing, reality test it, and get them to line up, right? So I think I can walk through a wall. Boof. Okay. Now I know that's not reality, right? I tested it. I know that's not the case, and I can do it as many times as I want, but at some point, that's when you break out the adage about insanity being is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. We have a sense that you've given it a try. It obviously I'm not walking through the wall. Okay, so now I'm in connection with reality. I am sane in this column. I know I can't walk through a wall. I'm not going to scream at people for trying to stop me when I'm like bruising myself, smashing into it full speed. Be like, I understand that's not sane. Okay, I'll just not spend my limited life energy doing stuff like that. Obviously, that's a very blunt example of the more nuanced ways in which we do this. But yeah, sanity is a practice, and part of practicing it is connecting with ourselves. So much of why we blame media, but it's our use of media that's the problem. It's what we were evolved for did not include this, and so the system doesn't understand that this isn't nourishment or safety or community or these things we really need. And so it drives to get that for us. And then we end up obviously not really getting that and feeling very frustrated and at odds with that drive. And we end up doing things that maybe we wouldn't choose. We end up doing addictive things or things that aren't entirely healthy or actually kind of really bad for us. And it's our system trying to provide for us, but that's why creating a place to go to or a space within time is so essential to supporting our intention to rise above that downward spiral, that vortex pulling us down into it. Um, we need to be able to offer something else that's better. You can't just take away a thing and think the system's going to be like, oh, okay, we don't do that anymore. Cool. It still has a drive. It has an open loop, and you need to close it by giving it something better to connect into. And for me, that's going outside. I I personally have been exploring what it means to to hang. And I mean in a swing chair, in a hammock, from playground equipment, to have my feet off the ground. And I'd be interested to know if there's any research in this, but I find that it has a very different effect on my body mind. And I really find it very oddly grounding. I come off the ground to get grounded. I know it seems paradoxical, but it's true. I think there's something about it that disrupts our regular state of being in the world. We're always in contact with solid things. And when you remove that, I think it forces a little bit of a shift in the system. And for me, that comes out as relief, relaxation, a change of perspective. I kind of slow down and reconsolidate into myself. I'm not this big cloud of me. I'm this more singular point of me because of course we're so many things always happening, but in a way that you feel concentrated, right? And I think that that's been incredibly powerful for me, but that's not necessary. You don't have to get your feet off the ground to find the ground. It's about knowing that we need to go out and create the space for that in some way, whatever that is. And we're all different people and different things are going to support or challenge us at different levels. So it's about finding what works for each of us, but we really do need that place to go to in some sense, and building these little habits into the day can really help bring us to that place, that not physical place, but that that state of being where it is possible to slow the system down. That's a lot of my work right now is slowing everything down, slow and steady. What I always mess up the quote, but it's something like slow is smooth and smooth is fast. I'm trying to be on that level because I've spent my whole life feeling like you gotta go, you gotta go, you gotta go. Hmm. I'd like to put it in low gear and be able to take in the scenery. I don't want my whole life just streaking by me as I'm like blazing forward to survive things. So this is part of helping me to slow down, is to go to those moments, to feel myself drifting or speeding up or getting spun into the wrong direction with the thing. Stop, go somewhere. Ideally for me, it's about being in nature. If you can throw some open sky and some trees in there, I'm made. That's most of what I need. And again, even if you're living in a situation where you really don't have a lot of access to nature, usually there is a park somewhere, there's a spot somewhere where you can go and be in it and still connect to that in a way that it just naturally tells our system to shift gears. So yeah, sanity is a practice as much as a state, and being able to induce and sustain a state of well-being and presence and reality aligned perception. Like that's what sanity is. It's a reality aligned perception. Um, my perspective, my behaviors are aligned with that, then it's good, it works. And if it's not working, it may not be as aligned as you think, right? So it's good to be able to step back, zoom out, get the broader view of it, and by going outside of ourselves and outside of our compulsive behaviors and our go, go, go kind of way of life, it's a lot easier to see that and connect to it. So, all right, long-winded way of saying I think that sanity is a practice and that a lot of that practice should be to integrate physical and temporal spaces into the program where we can go to that the system says, oh, this is better. Oh, okay. I like this better. Let's do this. And again, it becomes more habitual. It's effort at first, but it becomes reflexive in time to say, I feel myself closing in and losing track of where I am. I need to check in with my senses. I need to get into my body. I need to take my body into a different place or at least posture. And I need to be able to use that time and space to get reoriented to what really is, and then to be able to act from that place unfettered by all the noise and clear in where I need to move and why. And then you get that wonderful state of mental health, not mental illness, actual mental health that seems so elusive these days. Yeah. All right. So that's another riff on my random discoveries as I go through my own processes here, and I hope there's something of benefit there. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the next round. All right. Thank you. Take care.